Welcome back to Faded Truths History, where we unearth the forgotten shadows of the past. Today, we dive into a tale so improbable it feels scripted by fate. 1859 Mississippi. A sterile plantation heir, deemed unfit for legacy by 3 doctors and polite Southern society, uncovers his father's monstrous breeding scheme for the strongest enslaved woman and chooses rebellion over riches. This is weakness turned weapon. One fragile body against an empire of cotton and chains. How does defect become defiance? Stick around. You won't believe their escape. If this hooks you, smash that like button, subscribe for more hidden histories, and comment, would you risk everything for one soul? Let's uncover the truth together. Chapter 1. The Defective Heir. Picture the frozen grip of a Mississippi winter in January 1840. Winds howling off the Mississippi River like vengeful spirits, blanketing the Callahan plantation in unnatural ice. This wasn't just any plantation. It was Judge William Callahan's iron-fisted kingdom, 8,000 acres of the South's blackest, richest cotton soil, clinging to bluffs 15 miles south of Natchez. The main house loomed like a whitewashed temple, Greek Revival perfection with massive Doric columns, wide verandas catching rare breezes, interiors boasting 15-foot ceilings, crystal chandeliers from Europe, Persian rugs silencing footsteps on heart pine floors. That very night, amid a dinner party for visiting judges and fellow planters, cigar smoke curling, bourbon flowing, laughter booming, Sarah Beaumont Callahan doubled over in sudden labor, 2 months premature, no warning. Enslaved midwife Mama Ruth, who'd birthed half the county's white elite, rushed in from the quarters. She took one look at the tiny wriggling thing, skin pale as moonlight, veins spiderwebbing translucent flesh, breaths shallow as a dying bird's, and delivered her prophecy. Judge, this one's not making it through the night. Too small. Prepare your wife. William Callahan, 6 feet of broad-shouldered fury who'd clawed his cotton empire from Alabama dirt, stood stone-faced. But Sarah, slick with fever sweat, snatched the infant close. He'll live, she hissed through cracked lips. Feel that heart, weak, but fighting. Defiant to her core, she refused to let go. Thomas Beaumont Callahan survived. Barely. Those first years were a grind against death. At 1 month, 6 pounds, most of it fight. 6 months, head lolling like a puppet's, unable to lift. First birthday, other planter kids staggering to their feet, while Thomas toppled from sitting. Callahan summoned the best, doctors hauling leather kits from Natchez, Vicksburg, New Orleans. Stethoscopes pressed cold to his chest, calipers pinching fragile limbs. Verdict unanimous. Premature stunting, lifelong frailty. No cure. The mansion's luxury mocked him daily, silk drapes framing views of enslaved backs bent in fields, smokehouse aromas teasing from separate kitchens where the quarter's 300 souls toiled unseen. Callahan's fortune rested on their broken bodies, cotton gin humming, blacksmith hammers ringing, cabins huddled a half-mile back, dirt floors, plank walls, families crammed 6 deep under one leaky roof. Thomas, the heir, watched from gallery shadows, too weak for play, too sickly for the rough schools where planter sons learn to whip and rule. Growth? A cruel joke. By 19, Thomas hit 5 feet 2 inches, 110 pounds dripping wet, bones hollow as a bird's, Dr. Harrison would sneer. Chest sunk inward, pectus excavatum they called it. Ribs warped from the womb, turning breaths to whispers. Hands trembled non-stop, spilling tea, smudging ink. Simple tasks a public shame. Eyes? A blur without Coke bottle spectacles magnifying pale blues to owl-like stare. Voice trapped mid-puberty, boyish and soft. Hair fine, thinning early. Skin ghost pale, veins mapping every inch. No beard, no body hair, just smooth childish plains. Worst, manhood stalled dead. Testicles shrunken, hormones absent, sterile. A blank cartridge in a bloodline demanding heirs. The hammer fell post-18th birthday, January 1858. Father paraded a suitable bride, Martha Henderson, Port Gibson planter's daughter, ripe for alliance. Disaster. 15 minutes of stilted chat, her eyes flicking his frail frame like he'd shatter, then headache exit. Eavesdropped whisper, marry that child. He'd snap on the wedding night. Callahan's rage boiled. First expert, Dr. Samuel Harrison, Natchez' masculine health guru, Yale Polish over Southern steel. Study door shut. Thomas stripped. Harrison's gloved probes, height, girth, the groin lingered, fingers kneading, voice clinical. Pre-pubertal, no spermatogenesis, impossible seed. Verdict to father, hypergonadism, no heirs, ever. Callahan's jaw cracked like flint. Not enough. Week later, Dr. Blackwood, Vicksburg brute, rougher hands, same doom, permanent, untreatable. March, Dr. Mercier, New Orleans Creole, Paris-trained, apologetic French lilt, arrested development, rien ne peut être fait. 3 invasions, 3 death sentences for the Callahan name. Gossip ignited planter circles like dry tinder. Henderson's ghosted. Rutherford's. Promised elsewhere. Preston's, Montgomery's, Fairfax's. Dowries repelled sterility like holy water. Church whispers. Mrs. Harrison's pity sneer. Wealth wasted. No heir. Pointless. Dinner slurs. Bourbon guest bellowing. Nature culls weak stock. Louisiana horse trader. Prime stud there, not your boy. Breeding flops. Thomas armoured in silence. Wounds festering. Callahan. Tower of contrast. Self-made from lawyer rags to Judge King. Voice booming verdicts. But home turned cold. Dinner's silent. Bourbon his shadow. Thomas retreated to the library. 2,000 volumes. Tutors drilling Greek, Latin, math, lit. Philosophy gripped him. Marcus Aurelius's stoic steel. What need of suspicion when 'tis possible not to live? Epictetus on chains of the mind. Keats, Shelley, Byron whispering endurance. Mother's fever death at his age 6 haunted. Bedridden, yellow-eyed, rasping. Thomas, they'll pity, dismiss you. But mind, heart, soul, that's your strength. Don't feel less. He etched it bone deep. Then, the forbidden vein, hidden amid estate sale lots. Douglass's 1845 narrative, eloquent fury shredding slavery's veil. Stowe's 1852 Uncle Tom's Cabin, emotional gut punch. Garrison essays, Northern Fire. Candlelit nights, heart-pounding, slavery unmasked, not civilizing, but whip scars, families ripped, overseer bastards, pregnant field women vanishing. Quarter's eyes dulled on white approach. Thomas's silk shirts, enslaved hands, table bounty, their sweat, kindness, self-lie for complicity, guilt coiled like river snake. Spring 1858 dragged, rejection snowballed, Callahan's bourbon deepened, social knives twisted. Thomas stared in mirrors, society's brand burning, defective goods, dead-end stock. But library shadows birthed something lethal. Those abolitionist pages? Not escape, ignition. Unseen, the fragile air sharpened. Society saw weakness, books forged weapon. Father's desperation brewed a storm neither foresaw, a creative fix so vile it'd snap Thomas's silence forever. What monster plan could push a defective to burn his world? The answer lurked in bourbon fumes and legal ledgers, ticking toward March 1859 explosion. Chapter 2. The Monstrous Scheme. March 1859 arrived on Callahan Plantation like a thunderhead rolling off the river. Humid air thick with unspoken dread. Cotton buds swelling under relentless sun. But inside the mansion, tension crackled sharper than any storm. Judge William Callahan, now 58, had withdrawn into a bourbon-soaked fortress. Dinners devolved to silence, silver clinking against china in the vast dining room, candle flames dancing shadows across Persian rugs, father and son avoiding eyes. Thomas, the defective heir, buried himself deeper in the library. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations open by day, Frederick Douglass's searing narrative by night. Those forbidden pages gnawed relentlessly. Douglass's escape from Baltimore chains, his eloquent rage. I was broken in body, soulless in spirit, addicted to that which broke both, mirrored Thomas's own invisible shackles. But guilt twisted harder now. He lounged in silk spun by enslaved hands, dined on meals cooked in separate kitchens by the quarter's women, all while scars peeked from field hands' collars. The contrast screamed, his frailty mocked by their forced strength. Callahan's desperation metastasized. Spring 1858's bride hunt had collapsed. Letters from Alabama to Georgia repelled by sterility whispers. Lesser families sniffed dowries but balked at different prospects. By December, efforts died. Now, months of legal scribbling in his study hinted at something darker. Thomas caught glimpses. Ledgers shuffled late, bourbon tumblers refilled, mutters about creative solutions, and family line. Society's knives kept cutting. Church pews buzzed with Mrs. Harrison's upgraded pity. Judge's empire no seed. Divine joke. A May dinner guest slurred louder. Weak stock culls itself. Nature's mercy. Thomas endured, stoic mask cracking only in solitude. Mother's words his lifeline. Mind, heart, soul. The eruption hit March evening. Plantation hushed under twilight. Thomas sat in the library, fire crackling, deep in Aurelius. Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. Door slammed open. Callahan burst in, 6 feet of rumpled fury, waistcoat askew, bourbon sloshing in a heavy glass. Thomas, we need to talk. Voice like courtroom gavel. Thomas set the book down, pulse quickening. Yes, father. Callahan collapsed into a leather chair, liquid splashing. I'm 58, could drop tomorrow, or drag 20 more years. Either way, I die. And then? Sweeping gesture encompassed library, mansion, unseen fields. This empire, 8,000 acres, cotton king of Mississippi, what happens? Thomas swallowed. Nearest male kin, I suppose. Cousin Robert in Alabama. Callahan spat. Robert! Drunken fool lost 2 plantations to debt. He'd pawn this for whiskey in a year. Everything I built, my father before, gone. I'm sorry, father. I know this isn't ideal. Callahan's laugh barked bitter. Sorry fixes nothing. Reality. 18 months chasing brides who'd stomach you. None will. No heirs from a defective. Fact. Thomas nodded. Familiar sting. So I've thought. Creatively. Pushed boundaries. Tone shifted. Oily. Deliberate. Unease coiled in Thomas's gut. What do you mean? Callahan leaned forward, eyes gleaming like a predator's. Paused. I'm giving you Delilah. Words landed like a gut punch. Thomas blinked. Sorry. What? Delilah. The field hand. Your companion. Wife, practically. Brain reeled. Delilah. Impossible to miss. 24, nearly 6 feet, built like forged iron, mahogany skin, high cheekbones, eyes sharp with hidden fire. Overseers praised. Worth 3 hands, 300 pounds cotton daily, never sick, machine. Darker mutters. Breeding stock wasted on fields. Thomas stammered. Father, you can't mean... His voice hardened to verdict. No white woman takes you. Fact. But Callahan needs heirs, even unconventional. Horror dawned. You want me with a slave? Even if I could, doctors say no, and inheritance. Her child would be property. Callahan's smile twisted. Unless freed, legally adopted. Will structured tight. I'm judge, lawyer. Perfectly doable. Thomas stood, hands trembling fiercer. You're breeding humans like livestock. Saving family, plantation, you can't sire. But on your behalf, Delilah's prime. Strong, healthy, sharp. Pair with proven male. Strong stock from neighboring place. Kids documented mine. I die. Will them freed to you as adopted heirs. They inherit everything. Thomas's world tilted. Evil. Using her body without consent. Legal lies for heirs. People as broodmares. Callahan surged up, glass shattering on fireplace. They are property, law says. I own Delilah like this chair. Use her to solve crisis. Her thoughts? Consent? Irrelevant. She obeys. Snapped fully now. Thomas's spine straightened. First rebellion. You've read abolitionist trash. I know. Sentimental rot. Slaves as humanity. Legally animals. Something shattered inside Thomas. Lifetime deferring, compensating for weakness. Enough. No. Quiet. Steel. Callahan blinked. What? No. Won't participate. Implement your obscenity alone. Face purpled. Ungrateful wretch. Sacrificed for you. Opportunities lost on defective son. Embarrassment. No basic function. Didn't ask to be premature. Or sterile. Glass hurled. Flames roared. Solution thrown back. Moral superiority from propaganda. Not propaganda. People aren't livestock. Voice rose, steady. If you can't see evil, get out. Callahan loomed, fist clenched, then stormed out, door slamming earthquake loud. Thomas collapsed, shaking, heart hammering. Father's solution, prostitute Delilah's womb for legal heirs. Saw nothing wrong, clever. Thomas couldn't sleep. Paste room, Douglass echoing. Knowledge makes moral giant of former slave. Delilah's face haunted, strength twisted to stud service. Dawn broke grey. Decision crystallized. Warn her. Minimum. Deserved truth. Quarters lay half-mile back. Dirt path under ancient oaks. Thomas rarely ventured. Improper for master's son. 20 cabins. Dirt floors. Plank walls. No glass. 6 to 10 souls per room. Fireplaces doubling as kitchen. Mid-morning Tuesday. Fields empty. Just elders. Kids. Injured. Eyes tracked him. Frail white boy in fine wool. Alien as snow. Elderly woman at cookfire eyed suspicion. Delilah's cabin? Hesitant. Why, young master? Important. Speak private. Fields till sundown. I'll wait. She pointed third cabin, second row. Wary. Limbo gnawed. Avoided mansion. Father's rage simmered. No entering cabin. Inappropriate. Paced grounds. River views mocking. Gin humming distant. Overseer cracking distant whip. Formulated words. Father plans breeding you. Escape. Absurd. Sun sank. Field hands trudged back. Exhausted rivers of sweat-soaked cotton sacks. Delilah towered, straight-backed despite fatigue, head above rest. Spotted him near cabin. Froze. Hands whispered. Master's son at slave quarters. Unheard. Master Thomas. Neutral. Guarded. Need speak. Private? Glance at crowd. Nod. Yes, sir. Cabin. 12 by 14 dirt floor box. 3 pallets. Crude table. Stools. Pots. Clothes pegged. 3 women's lives. Mansion bedroom mocked. 4-poster. Bookshelves. Delilah centered. Wary. Trouble, Master Thomas. Breath caught. Father plans something. Involves you. Her face blanked. Survival mask. Told all. Sterility. Heir panic. Breeding with outsider male. Legal heirs via fiction. Shock flickered. Horror bloomed. Resignation settled. Silence stretched. Judge wants broodmare? Quiet steel. Yes. Warned you. Prepare. Resist. Skepticism pierced. Why tell? Why care? Fair. Benefited slavery lifelong. Because this wrong. Specific evil. Father's words, like livestock. Can't ignore. Slavery wrong. Challenge edged. Reading too much. Questioned accepted. Won't let this happen. But own slaves. Father owns me. Complicit. No full answer. But stoppable. This. Exhaustion hit her. Appreciate. But what? Refuse. Whipped. Sold south. Dead. No escape. Words escaped. Might be. Eyes snapped. Escape. Mississippi patrols everywhere. No papers, money, roads. 6-foot black woman. Caught day 1. Sugar hell. What if papers? Money. Companion deflecting suspicion. Stared. What suggesting? Breath deep. We leave together. North. Mother's trust. $800. Forge passes. Father's hand perfect. Wagon. Supplies. Go. Jaw dropped. Serious? Deadly. Court. You jailed slave stealing. Me killed. Hanged public. No. But succeed. Everything gone. Inheritance. Name. Wealth. For one slave. Father owns 300. Truth spilled. Can't save 300. Save one. Stop one evil. Better nothing. Why me? Your target. Can't end slavery, but stop this. Escape complicity too. Eyes probed. Intelligence unguarded. Mean it? Yes. Everything for stranger. Makes difference you. Long quiet. Night fell outside. Fires crackling. Murmurs. Moonlight shafted. If. Plan careful. Judges reach everywhere. Move fast. Breeding any day. 2 days think. Prepare goodbyes subtle. Stood. Don't understand why. Trap. Joke. But sincere. Take chance. Father's worse than running. Sincere. Thursday night. Stable midnight. Money. Passes. Supplies. My bundle. Nod. Thursday. Door opened. Turned. Thomas. If North expect. Nothing. Freedom yours. Not gratitude special? No. Right thing. Nodded. Don't late. No change mind. Thomas stumbled mansion ward. Heart thunder. Slave theft. Prison. Her death. But success. One free. Not world saving, but something. Next day's agony. Avoided father. Meals room bound. Ill. Prepared feverishly. Natchez Bank. $800 withdrawn. Bag. Clothes. Books. Maps. Father's signature practiced flawless. Letters penned. Father's goodbye. Cannot partake breeding scheme. Slavery evil. Callahan ends dignified. Dr. Harrison thanks. Friends farewells. Sealed. Desk left. Thursday night. No dinner. Bed feigned sleep. Clothes on. Mansion quieted. Father 10 p.m. Servants 11. 11:45. Bag grabbed. Kitchen door slipped. Stable moonlit. Smaller wagon hitched. 2 horses local rig. Loaded. Bag. Kitchen stolen food. Blankets. Water. Midnight struck. Delilah emerged. Small bundle. Life's sum. Came. Doubted. Dream. Trick. Neither. Ready. Backward glance quarters. As ever. Wagon rolled. Rains Thomas's. Novice hands steady. Northeast. Skip Natchez. Known. Vicksburg. Tennessee. Ohio. Cincinnati Free Black Hub. Disappear. 500 miles. 2 weeks night travel. Day-hide woods. Thought through. Silence road claimed. Plantation shrank. Every rustle patrol fear. But wind. Owls only. Hour later. Thomas. Real reason. No noble. Horses plodded. Lived defective. Worthless no heirs. Internalized. Link? Father'd reduce you. Reproductive tool. Like me. Can't do to other. Perfect sense. Dawn neared. Grove pull-off. Horses grazed. Bread, cheese, meat shared. Shifts watch. You first. Field day. Blanket down. Asleep instant. Thomas watched. Guarded face softened. Intelligence shone. Thrown life for stranger. Irrational. Lethal. First mattered. North Road beckoned. Patrols. Rivers. Unknowns. Father's rage? Hunting soon. Escape sparked. Real peril dawned. Could fragile rebel outrun empire? Chapter 3. The Perilous Road. North dawn's first grey light pierced the grove where Thomas and Delilah had pulled their wagon off the main road, horses nickering softly as they grazed on dew-kissed grass. 13 grueling days stretched ahead. 500 miles of slave patrols, river crossings, and unforgiving terrain from Mississippi's cotton heart to Ohio's free soil. But this first morning tested them like none other. Thomas rubbed sleep from his magnified eyes, spectacles fogged from the chill, watching Delilah fold her blanket with efficient grace. She'd slept little, taking first watch after her field day, her 6-foot frame coiled like a spring despite exhaustion. Your turn, she murmured, voice low to avoid echoing. No master now, just 2 fugitives, equals in peril. Thomas nodded, stretching his aching limbs, the familiar tremble in his hands worse from cold and nerves. The wagon sat loaded, $800 in gold hidden under floorboards, forged passes in his father's exact script, sacks of bread, cheese, dried meat, blankets, canteen. Small bundle, Delilah's entire life. His bag, clothes, maps, forbidden books, Douglass, Uncle Tom's cabin, mother's locket. They'd rolled northeast from the plantation under moonlight, skirting Natchez where eyes knew Thomas too well. Every hoofbeat had screamed court, but only owls and wind answered. Delilah proved revelation from hour one. When a wheel wobbled loose on a rutted path, her calloused hands wrenched it tight, skills from watching overseers, never taught. "You learn or die enslaved," she said flatly, wiping sweat. Fording a swollen creek. She waded first, testing depth up to her waist, current tugging like greedy fingers. Food low. She snared rabbits, identified edible plants, berries, roots, from Alabama grandmother's whispers before sale at 15. Father taught hunting till sold away age 10, she added, skinning with a borrowed knife. Thomas marveled, his book-learned mind useless against her street-sharp survival. Nights dragged endless understars, conversation flowing freer than ever. Delilah's tale poured. Alabama plantation birth, family ripped, mother whipped for slow, brother auctioned to sugar fields, sold to Callahan at 15 for fieldwork, 9 years picking 300 pounds cotton daily, back-scarred faint undershirt, overseer Lears dodged. Dreams? Freedom whispers, songs coded in quarters spirituals. Kept sane hide in mind, readers called dumb, but I listened, learned. Thomas shared shadows, mother's fever death, library refuge, society's defective brand. Sterility stung retold, not just body, soul crush. Felt like dead-end tree branch. Delilah's gaze softened. White world judged you. Mine judged weak too. Women stock for babies. Bond forged in shared reduction. Him to sterile invalid, her to broodmare. But patrols loomed realist threat. First stop, dawn checkpoint outside Vicksburg. Lanterns swung, rough voices. "Papers!" Thomas handed forged pass, heart slamming. "Escorting Judge Callahan's property to Vicksburg sale. Why his son?" Voice steady, practiced lie. "Learn in business." "Can't run plantation blind." Delilah sat statue still, eyes down, prime stock pose perfected. Officer squinted, sniffed. "Prime, all right, good price." Stamped through. Out of sight, Thomas slumped, vomiting roadside. Close, Delilah gripped shoulder. "You held." Second brush. Tennessee line, 3 days in. Night fog cloaked road, but hooves thundered. Posse hunting, stolen darky. Wagon veered into brambles. Horses hobbled silent. Thomas whispered prayers from Aurelius. Delilah crouched rifle ready, stolen from plantation tack. Patrol passed yards away, curses fading. Relief shattered next noon. Axle cracked fording river. Horses winded, supplies dwindling. Delilah foraged. Thomas plotted maps by sunlight dapple. "Cincinnati," he breathed. "Free black community. Vigilance committees hide runaways." Her laugh first heard. Bitter. If reach. Sugar plantations wait south if caught. Bond deepened nights. Philosophy swapped for spirituals. She sang soft. Wade in water, children, trouble water. Code for underground paths. Thomas recited Douglass. Knowledge liberates. Laughter sparked. Her mimicking overseer drawls. Him botching snare knots. Week in. Crisis peaked. Storm lashed. Sheets of rain turning roads to mire. Wagon mired axle deep. Lightning cracked trees. Thunder drowned screams. Delilah unhitched horses single-handed. Thomas flailing mudslick help. "Push!" she barked. Slipped, twisted ankle, swollen instant. Hours digging, cursing, soaked to bone. Freed at midnight, limping camp under overhang. Fever loomed. Her ankle throbbed. His chest wheezed rain chill. Huddled blanket shared for warmth. First touch innocent. Survival. Why risk? she asked, fever-delirious. You. Simple. Dawn. She bound ankle strips cloth, declared, move or die. Pushed on, slower but relentless. Behind, father's fury erupted. Plantation dawn post-escape. Letter found desk. Callahan roared, glass-shattering rampage through mansion. Slave theft. My son. Overseers whipped quarters for clues. Patrols dispatched Natchez wide. Rewards posted. $500 Thomas return. $1,000 Delilah alive. Prime breeder, posters screamed. Cousin Robert smirked from Alabama. Told you, weak seed. Society buzzed. Scandal of century. Judge's defective boy steals top field hand. Hunters Road. Patrols tripled roads north. Bloodhounds baying scents. Day 10. Ohio River neared. Freedom's edge. But betrayal loomed. River ferryman. Greedy eyes on Delilah's build. Squinted passes. Callahan, eh? Heard whispers. Runaways. Thomas bantered prices. Delilah vanished shadows, circling back with rock. Distraction. She fainted dramatically, drawing eyes. Ferry crossed undercover. $20 gold greased palms. Cincinnati lights twinkled distant, but final gauntlet waited. Free state patrols still snatched obvious fugitives. Horses foamed, humans swayed. Delilah's ankle purpled. Thomas's tremors racked coughs. Night 13. City fringe. Vigilance aid hid Wagon Alley. Free blacks smuggling food, papers. Safe, whispered leader. Collapsed warehouse cot. Hands clasped first voluntary. Freedom. Tentative. Father's reach. Long. Whispers said hunters closed. But they'd outrun empire. Fragile body, iron will. What waited Cincinnati? New chains or true liberty? Hunters bayed closer. Alliance forged, fire-tested. Could defectives build free life from empire's ashes? Chapter 4. Freedom's Fragile Foundation. Cincinnati, Ohio. April 1859. The city rose from the Ohio River's north bank like a promise half kept. Brick warehouses squatting beside elegant townhouses. Cobblestone streets echoing with German immigrants' shouts, Irish dockworkers' curses, and the cautious whispers of free black communities clustered in neighborhoods whites avoided. For Thomas Beaumont Callahan and Delilah, crammed in a vigilance committee safehouse cellar, damp walls sweating, single candle guttering, freedom tasted like stale bread and terror's aftertaste. 13 days fleeing Mississippi's slave patrols, Judge Callahan's $1,500 bounty howling at their backs, had deposited them in this liminal space, technically free soil, but Kentucky's slave catchers prowled just across the river, and Federal Fugitive Slave Act made every white face potential betrayer. Thomas's $800 gold remained hidden in his coat lining, forged papers now useless. Cincinnati demanded new identities, fresh lies, total reinvention. Delilah's swollen ankle, purple-black from the storm's twist, throbbed as she paced the 10-by-12 cellar like a caged lioness. Free, she muttered, voice dripping irony. Trapped underground like rats. Some liberty. Thomas sat on a crate, spectacles fogged from cellar humidity, maps spread across his trembling knees. The Vigilance Committee leader, a grizzled free black man named Solomon Jeffries, 50s, scarred hands from steamboat work, had briefed them hours prior. Hunters know you're here. Judge Callahan telegraphed every sheriff Ohio to Pennsylvania. Posters plastered docks. Stolen prime breeder. Reward $1,000 alive. Your hottest cargo since John Parker smuggled 50 last year. Solomon's eyes, hard as riverstones, assessed them. Frail white boy in ruined fine clothes. Towering black woman radiating defiance. Plan? Thomas asked, voice cracking. Solomon leaned close. Forge new papers. Your siblings, mixed-race freedmen from Virginia. Risky, but your pale skin sells it. Her? Glance at Delilah. Cuts hair short, binds chest, passes male field hand. Lower profile. Delilah's jaw tightened. Disguise as man? Again? Solomon shrugged. Or hang. Catchers don't care about feelings. First week Cincinnati, they hid. Solomon's network, free blacks, Quaker abolitionists, Underground Railroad conductors, shuttled them between safe houses, a tannery loft reeking of curing hides, a widow's attic crawl space where Thomas's 5 feet 2 inches frame barely fit, a riverfront warehouse where Delilah's height forced permanent crouch. Each move midnight cloaked, nerves screaming at every footstep. Thomas's health cratered, perpetual cough from storm exposure, hands shaking so violently he dropped water cups, eyesight blurring without proper spectacles, cracked during wagon mire. Delilah nursed him, stolen herbs for fever tea, her jacket bundled as pillow, but frustration bled through. "Gave up mansion for this," she snapped one feverish night. "Cellar hopping, starving." Thomas, delirious, whispered mother's words. Mind, heart, soul. Delilah softened. "Sorry, terrified. Me too." New identities cemented by week 2. Papers declared Thomas Whitfield, 19, mulatto freedman, clerk skills, Daniel Dan Whitfield, 24, brother, labourer. Hair chopped rough. Delilah, now Dan, bound breasts tight with strips, wore men's trousers, shirt, cap low. First public test. Hiring docs. Thomas approached warehouse foreman, voice steady despite internal quake. Clerk position. Read, write, arithmetic fluent. Foreman eyed him, pale, frail, educated speech. Mulatto, look white. Mother freed, father white planter, Virginia papers. Foreman grunted. $2 weekly, start Monday. Dan hired same day, unloading cargo, brutal labour. Delilah's field-hardened muscles suited, but overseer barked, "Quiet one, eh? Work fast or boot." She nodded silent, rage buried deep. Lodging found, boarding house in Bucktown, Cincinnati's black enclave. Narrow streets, shotgun shacks, vibrant despite poverty. Landlady, Mama Bess, 60s ex-slave via Kentucky escape, rented attic room. Single bed, wash basin, cracked mirror, window view of rooftops and river beyond. $10 monthly bled Thomas's gold, but anonymity worth cost. Nights, they collapsed exhausted. Thomas ink-stained from ledger copying. Delilah, Dan, bruised from crate hauling. Shared bed initially awkward. Propriety warred necessity. Pretend siblings, Thomas joked weakly. Delilah, now shorter-haired, fierce beauty even disguised, smiled rare. Strange siblings, pale runt and Amazon. Laughter broke tension, fragile bond strengthening. But Cincinnati's freedom proved conditional. Fugitive Slave Act meant federal marshals could demand papers any time. White mobs periodically raided Bucktown, dragging suspicious blacks south for rewards. Vigilance Committee patrolled nightly, armed with clubs and pistols, Thomas and Delilah among watchers. His frailty mocked, couldn't swing club, but sharp eyes spotted threats. One midnight, catchers crept. 3 men, Kentucky drawls. Delilah whistled alarm, committee swarmed. Brawl erupted, fists, gunshots, chaos. Thomas pulled injured watcher to safety, hands shaking, useless in fight, but present. Delilah, Dan, grappled a catcher twice, iron grip choking until he fled. Afterward, adrenaline crash, she wept first time since escape. Thought free meant safe. Thomas held her, his weakness inversely comforting, no judgment, just presence. "Freedom's war, not destination," he whispered, Douglass paraphrased. Spring turned summer 1859. Routine solidified. Thomas clerked, numbers soothing. Delilah laboured, building secret fund. Evenings, Thomas taught her reading, alphabet scratched on slate, narrative of Frederick Douglass read aloud. She absorbed ravenous, mind unshackled. "This me," she breathed at Douglass's escape. "Knowledge is freedom." He beamed. She taught him survival, knife work, snares, street wariness, lopsided education, but mutual. Community embraced them. Church Sundays, Thomas awkward amid fervent spirituals, Delilah home, fish fries, quilting circles where she, disguised, stayed silent. Solomon became mentor. U2 symbol, white rejects privilege, Black woman defies chains, living resistance. But past stalked. July brought news. Judge Callahan hired Pinkerton detectives, legendary slave catchers. Reward doubled, $3,000 combined. Posters updated, detailed descriptions, Thomas's spectacles, Delilah's height. Solomon warned, they're closing. Consider Canada, Toronto safe. Thomas resisted. Ran once. Keep running? Delilah torn. Safety versus roots. Compromise. Prepare escape route. Stay vigilant. Crisis struck August midnight. Pinkerton agent, posing warehouse customer, recognized Thomas's trembling hands. Poster detail. Tipped marshals. Raid descended. Boots thundering. Torches blazing. Thomas Callahan! Delilah! Surrender! Mama Bess screamed warning. Thomas and Delilah. Dan fled rooftop. Leaping gaps his nightmares made real. Gunshots cracked. Splinters flew. Delilah dragged him across. Superhuman strength. Warehouse below. Solomon's network. Hidden trapdoor. Tunnel to riverfront. Splash through sewage. Lungs burning. River beckoned. Rowboat waiting. Vigilance rowers muscled upstream toward Indiana. Marshals fired. Bullets zipping. One grazed Delilah's shoulder. Blood flowered. Thomas screamed. Pressed cloth. Live! You live! She grinned through pain. Not done yet. Indiana shore. Deeper underground station. Quaker farm hid them weeks. Delilah healing. Thomas researching. Found abolitionist newspaper seeking writers. The Liberator. Boston. Thomas penned essay. The Defective's Awakening. Detailing sterility. Father's breeding scheme. Moral rupture. Mailed pseudonymously. Weeks later, published. Sensation. Southern papers raged. Northern praised. Judge Callahan, publicly shamed, withdrew bounty quietly, too humiliated. Freedom real now, but fragile. Fall 1859. Thomas and Delilah, no longer Dan, returned Cincinnati, bolder. Rented small house, posed married freedman. Thomas freelanced abolitionist writing. Delilah joined underground, guiding runaways. Church married them quietly, no legal but spiritual bond. Wedding night, Thomas confessed. Can't consummate, sterile. Delilah kissed forehead. Chose you not for body, for soul. Relief flooded. Partnership, not possession. Months passed. John Brown's Harper's Ferry raid. October electrified nation. Civil War whispers. Thomas and Delilah hosted strategy meetings. Armed resistance debated. She advocated force. He pacifism. Compromised. Support both paths. Adopted war orphans informally. 3 kids, black and mixed. No biological but fiercely loved. Thomas's defect, irrelevant. Family-built choice, not blood. By 1860, Thomas published memoir, Weakness Made Weapon, bestseller North, banned South. Judge Callahan died 1861. Cousin Robert sold plantation. Thomas inherited nothing, wanted none. Wealth, Delilah beside, kids thriving, freedom fought for. She whispered one night, regret escaping empire. He smiled. Regret staying. War loomed, uncertainties vast, but fragile alliance, hers strength, his conscience, proved unbreakable. Could defectives survive nation tearing apart? They'd try together. Freedom's foundation, though cracked, stood firm. Epilogue. Echoes of Defiance. Winter, 1865. 5 years after their desperate wagon wheels first crunched northeast from Callahan Plantation, the American Civil War's final smoke still curled from battlefields like Appomattox, where Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant. Thomas Beaumont Callahan, now Thomas Whitfield to the world, though scars of his old name lingered like ghosts, and Delilah, his unbreakable partner, stood on the porch of their modest 2-story frame house in Cincinnati's Bucktown. No longer fugitives in cellars, but pillars of a community forged in fire. The house, bought outright with Thomas's writing earnings and Delilah's Underground Railroad donations, overlooked the Ohio River, ironic sentinel that same waterway they'd splashed through under gunfire. 3 adopted children tumbled in the yard. Little Sarah, 6, named for Thomas's mother, chasing Elijah, 4, with a stick horse. Baby Ruth, 2, toddling after with Mama Bess's hand-me-down doll. No blood tied them, orphans of war, black and mixed, but love welded unbreakable. Thomas, frailer than ever at 25, coughed into a handkerchief, spectacles perpetually slipping down his nose, hands trembling as he clutched a fresh copy of The Liberator. Delilah, 29 now, shoulder scar faded to silver, hair grown long again, watched with hawk eyes, ever vigilant, muscles honed from guiding dozens north. Their life post raid was no fairy tale, but a gritty masterpiece of resilience. After the Pinkerton chaos of August 1859, they'd bolted to Indiana's Quaker farms, then Detroit's abolitionist hubs, always one step ahead of telegraphed bounties. Thomas's essay, The Defective's Awakening, exploded in northern papers, reprinted coast to coast, debated in salons from Boston to Chicago. A slaveholder's sterile son exposes the South's soul rot, headlines screamed. Southern rags branded him traitor. Northern Quakers hailed prophet. Judge Callahan, humiliated, spiked the reward overnight. Public scorn, worse than gold. Let the weakling rot, he growled in Natchez letters, before yellow fever claimed him in 1861, plantation auctioned to Cousin Robert's ruin. Thomas inherited zilch, grieved nothing. Freedom's my legacy, he'd say. Back in Cincinnati by fall 1859, bolder, they built Deliberate. Thomas's memoir, Weakness Made Weapon, hit shelves 1860 to 20,000 copies first run, banned Mississippi-wide. Chapters dissected his father's breeding scheme, human chattel as broodmare, the South's true sterility, abolitionist awakening, the escape's raw peril. Critics raved. Whitfield's prose cuts like Douglass, heart like Stowe. Royalties funded the house, kids, a printing press in the shed where Thomas typeset anti-slavery pamphlets. Delilah? No sidelined wife. She ran the local vigilance arm, smuggling 40-plus runaways by war's end, disguises perfected, field hand Dan one night, seamstress next. Her journal, scribbled in Thomas's taut hand, became legend. Strength ain't muscle alone, it's choosing who wields it. Church wedding 1860 sealed them. Not for sex, Thomas's sterility, a quiet fact, embraced. But partnership, her fire, his pen, war transformed them. Fort Sumter, 1861 ignited Cincinnati fervor, recruitment rallies, hospital tents overflowing. Thomas volunteered clerking union roles, dodging draft with frail Constitution waiver, but his essays fueled 54th Massachusetts volunteers. Fight not for chains, but souls. Delilah nursed wounded, contraband camps swelling with escaped enslaved, binding gashes, whispering escape routes. John Brown's Harper's Ferry shadow loomed. They hosted secret meetings, debating force. She pushed rifles. Words didn't free me, action did. He countered pacifism, Aurelius, true victory, unconquered will. Compromise, pamphlets and pistols. Adopted kids arrived piecemeal. Sarah from Vicksburg raid, Elijah orphaned Gettysburg, Ruth Kentucky contraband. Family dinners echoed quarters, spirituals mixed Latin quotes, laughter drowning war news. 1863, Emancipation Proclamation electrified Bucktown, parades, bonfires, Delilah weeping openly. But freedom's edge cut. Lincoln's Act ignored border states. Catchers persisted. Their house became station. False walls hid fugitives. Thomas forging manumission papers till dawn. One night, 1864, close call. Posse raided neighbor. Bloodhounds baying. Delilah barricaded door. Children silent under beds. Thomas reciting Epictetus. No man free harmed. They held. Post-war, Reconstruction dawned chaotic. Freedmen flooding north. Cincinnati straining. Thomas testified Congress, rare white Southern voice. Slavery bred monsters in master and man. Delilah spoke Freedmen's Bureau rallies. Plantation strength, survival weapon. Fame grew. Harper's Weekly profile. The Defective and the Amazon, unlikely liberators. Yet shadows persisted. Thomas's health waned. Chronic cough tubercular hint. Tremors worsening. Weight dipping 95 pounds. Delilah nursed fierce. Herbal teas. Forced rest. "You saved me," she'd say. "I save you." Children thrived. Sarah reading Uncle Tom's Cabin aloud. Elijah snare-setting like Mama. Ruth quoting father's essays. Community revered. Solomon Jeffries, grey now, called them living proof, weak flesh, iron spirits. 1865 brought Lincoln's assassination, morning riots. Thomas penned eulogy. Tyrant slayer felled, fight endures. One crisp evening, porch rockers creaking, river steamers whistling distant, Delilah leaned head on Thomas's shoulder. "Regret?" she asked, voice soft as rare vulnerability. He smiled, pale hand steadying hers. "Never. Empire's ashes birthed this." Kids' laughter rose, war drums faded, but Reconstruction teetered, Johnson's pardons restoring planters, black codes rising south. Rumors swirled, Cousin Robert rebuilding Callahan ruins, cursing traitor nephew. Hunters, retired, but hate eternal. Thomas gazed river north, toward Canada safety. "Run again?" Delilah shook head. "Stand." Legacy pulsed. Books sold 100,000 plus. Kids educated. Runaways freed. Defective heir toppled dynasty. Breeder stock shattered chains. Together, they embodied paradox. Frailty's might. Bondage's break. Nation healed slow. Scars deep. But on that porch, fragile foundation endured. Two souls, one choice, echoing defiance eternal. What storms awaited? They'd face, unbreakable. Fade to river's endless flow.